Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a bunch of different Washington football team free agency rumors. We're going to talk about the report that says the Washington football team hopes to re-sign cornerback Ronald Darby and is expected to show interest in Panthers safety Trey Boston. Also, we're going to react to the report that the Washington football team could be interested in signing Nelson Agholor and also Curtis Samuel, among others. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Also, make sure to hit that like button. Let's get into the video. Okay, so first let's talk about the Ronald Darby report and the report that the Washington football team is expected to show interest in Panthers safety Trey Boston. So this was reported by Sam Fortier and Nikki Jabala of the Washington Post. And the first, thing is that they hope to re-sign cornerback Ronald Darby. And I really think they should do that. Ronald Darby had a really solid season for us this past year. I don't think he's a number one cornerback, but he's a really solid second cornerback on your team, especially on the outside. He was the one, normally going up against number one receivers. And, he held his own against most of these top receivers, except for maybe Amari Cooper in that Thanksgiving game. But besides that, he had some really good games, allowed a very low completion percentage and, batted down a bunch of balls, and he was a really solid player for us, so I would bring him back to the team, and it's mutual. He also said on a bunch of interviews in the last, month or so that he wants to come back. He's from the DMV area, so I expect him to be back probably on like an $8, maybe $9 million deal, maybe a little bit more, but we'll see. Maybe it'll probably be like a 3-4 year deal, and it'll be good for both sides. So that is the Ronald Darby news. And they also said, like I said, that they are expected to show interest in Trey Boston, who of course played for the Panthers last year and the year before. This year, obviously, not under Ron Rivera, but in 2019 he played with the Panthers, and that was under Ron Rivera for a bit of the season. And also from 2014 2016 played, under the Panthers as well. And he does fill a position of need, free safety, and I would definitely be okay with bringing him in. I'm just not paying him, top of the line money. I'll, pay him a very cheap deal, $4 or $5 million a year. He's a good safety, but he's nothing special. He's a veteran. He's like 28 years old, has some solid speed, and he knows he knows what to expect from Ron Rivera. He's familiar with Ron Rivera, has played under him for a while, and I think it would be a solid addition. I'm just not willing to pay a bunch of money for him. This past season, played in all 16 games. That's pretty, one thing about him, he has been pretty healthy for his career. Besides the 2014 year, every other year, he pretty much played 16, 15, or 14 games, so that's good with him. Had 90 tackles this year, 1 sack, 1 interception. The year before had 3 interceptions, under Ron Rivera. So, he can get you a couple interceptions, some turnovers, had a forced fumble this past year. So again, he's probably an upgrade over Jeremy Reaves and DeShazier Everett. We don't know yet. I mean, DeShazier Everett and Jeremy Reaves have only played, a few games each starting. So maybe they can end up being better than Trey Boston. I'm okay with it either way. I'm fine with them coming back with Reeves and Everett and maybe a late round draft pick, or I'm fine with them making an upgrade. I just don't think spending big money on someone like Anthony Harris or someone like Justin Simmons, even though he got tagged, someone like that, I don't think we should be spending big money on that, because we already have Landon Collins at that safety position who is eating up a bunch of our cap space. So that was a report about Ronald Darby and Trey Boston. I'm definitely I'll be happy if we bring back Ronald Darby, and I think it's a solid signing if we bring in Trey Boston for maybe a 1-year, 2-year deal. And yeah, so now let's head into the Nelson Agholor and Curtis Samuel report. This has been reported a while by John Keim, and he said that Washington is really looking for speed this offseason at the wide receiver position. Curtis Samuel and Nelson Aguilar would be potential options, in free agency, and someone else that could be an option if they don't get Curtis Samuel or maybe even don't get Nelson Aguilar. I think Kadarius Toney, very quick, very twitchy, could be an option in the draft. But of course, if they sign Curtis Samuel, then I think it's very, very unlikely that they draft Kadarius Toney in the first round. So let's take a look a little bit at Nelson Aguilar and Curtis Samuel. So Nelson Aguilar this past year had really a breakout year. The year before really struggled with the Eagles, had a bunch of drops, and just really did not have a good year. Just not a good year at all. This past year, though, with the Raiders, played in 16 games, had almost 900 yards, 18.7 yards per reception, which is really, really good. That's the highest of his career by far. He had 8 total touchdowns, had a bunch of really, really long touchdowns, had a really good year this year for the Raiders. And I think if you can bring him in for relatively cheap, and I think, Washington football team today here, put it pretty nicely. He said, Nelson Aguilar on a nice 2 to 3 year deal with an easy out after 1 year if he flops would be ideal. I definitely agree because, hey, if he flops and has a similar year to 2019, then if you structure the contract so that you can get out of it pretty quickly after year one, kind of what they did with Wes Schweitzer, even though they're going to keep him, I think that would be a good idea. But he does bring some speed, and that's really what we need. We need another receiver besides Terry McLaurin that can create some separation, and that obviously will help Terry if we have another guy. But I don't think just bringing in Nelson Aguilar is enough. I think if you do bring in Nelson Aguilar, maybe you spend money on another veteran free agent or spend an early draft pick, rounds 1 to 3 on a wide receiver for you. But Nelson Aguilar, wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad with it. Also wouldn't be super excited, but he does have some solid potential if he can build on this past year with the Raiders. Took a pretty nice step. But the next guy they mentioned in the report, Curtis Samuel, I like him a lot more. He is going to be a little bit more expensive, but this past year, of course, you guys all know, 850 yards, 11.1 yards per reception, 3 touchdowns, but also had 2 rushing touchdowns, and, had 200 rushing yards, about 5 yards per carry. Fits well in Scott Turner's system, obviously, because he played in it under Carolina from 2017 to 2019. Played in Carolina, has gotten better every year, which is exactly what you want to see. I mean, it's pretty impressive in every single stat, at least yards wise. You look at 2017 at 115, then took a big jump in 2018, and then again in 2019, and then again in 2020, and same thing rushing wise, 64, 84, 130, and 200. Obviously, the volume was up, but still improved every year. And, if he comes here, maybe he takes another step and breaks that 1,000 yard mark, and he would be a solid option here in DC. Really young, was his former second round pick a few years ago, 4 years ago, and also played with Terry McLaurin at Ohio State, so they got that chemistry, and obviously has the familiarity with Ron Rivera and Scott Turner. So I would like this pickup right here more than Nelson Aguilar. Curtis Samuel, super quick. Scott Turner would be able to use him out of the backfield. And I would really like this signing. I'm not sure how much it would be, probably in that $10-11 million per year, but I would like that as well. And one thing about Trey Boston that I find interesting, they definitely are probably interested in him, but just something to keep in mind, they had the chance to sign him last offseason, and they didn't end up signing him, and he was on the market for a very, very long time, and they still didn't end up signing him. So just something to keep in mind right there. So let me know what you guys think about all these different rumors. Do you want to bring back Ronald Darby? Are you interested in signing Trey Boston and also Nelson Aguilar and Curtis Samuel? So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video, and peace.